3 days passed after the judgment in the throne room. During that time, Do-hyun stayed in a beautiful room in the palace. The room was bigger than his entire house back on Earth. The bed was soft, the food was strange but delicious, and the view from the window showed a city that sparkled like a sea of diamonds. But Do-hyun could not enjoy any of it. He was too worried about what would happen next. The king had accepted him, yes, but what did that mean for the future? What was his place in this world of powerful beings and advanced technology? On the 4th day, a servant came to his room. "The king wishes to speak with you," the servant said. "Alone." Do-hyun followed the servant through long hallways and past countless doors until they reached a small garden inside the palace. Trees with silver leaves grew around a pool of water that glowed softly blue. King Taeho sat on a bench beside the pool. Looking at the water, he was not wearing his crown or his royal robes. He wore simple clothes, almost plain. Without all the symbols of power, he looked less like a king and more like a tired old man. "Sit," Taeho said, pointing to the bench beside him. Do-hyun sat. He did not know what to say, so he said nothing. For a while, they just sat together in silence. The only sound was the gentle rippling of the glowing water. "My wife died 200 years ago," Taeho said finally. His voice was soft and sad. "She was sick. Not even our best healers could save her. After she was gone, Yuna was all I had left. She was my reason to keep living, my reason to keep being king." He looked at Do-hyun with tired eyes. "When I thought she was dead, I wanted to die too. I did not eat. I did not sleep. I pushed away everyone who tried to help me. I was waiting for death to come and take me so I could be with my wife and daughter again." "I am sorry," Do-hyun said quietly. "That must have been very painful." "It was. It still is, in some ways. The memory of that pain does not go away easily." Taeho turned his gaze back to the pool. "And now she is back. She is alive. She is home. Because of you, I only did what anyone would do." "No." Taeho shook his head firmly. "That is not true. I have lived for over 2,000 years. I have met beings from hundreds of different worlds. Most of them would not do what you did. Most of them would have left her to die, or used her for their own gain. You are different." The king stood and walked to the edge of the pool. He looked down at his reflection in the glowing water. "I need to understand something," he said. "I need to understand why. Why did you help her? Why did you suffer for her? Why did you leave your entire world behind to come here with her? What is it that drives you?" Do-hyun thought about the question for a long time. He thought about his life on Earth, about his farm, about his parents who had died, about all the years he had spent alone. "When I was young," he said slowly, "my mother told me a story. She said that long ago, there was a man who found a wounded bird on the side of the road. The bird was dying. The man could have walked past it. He was busy. He had important things to do. But he stopped. He picked up the bird. He carried it home and nursed it back to health. When the bird was strong enough, he set it free." Taeho turned to look at him. "And what happened then?" "Nothing. The bird flew away. The man never saw it again. He did not become rich. He did not become famous. His life continued just as it had before. But my mother said that the man was happy. She said that he had done something good, something pure, and that was its own reward." Do-hyun stood and walked to stand beside the king. "I am not a hero. I am not special. I am just a farmer who found a wounded bird. I helped because helping was the right thing to do. That is all. There is no deeper reason. There does not need to be." Taeho was quiet for a long moment. His 4 eyes studied Do-hyun's face, searching for something. Whatever he found there seemed to satisfy him. "Your people," the king said. "Humans, are they all like you?" No, Daryan admitted. Some are good. Some are bad. Most are somewhere in between. We are not perfect. We make many mistakes. But I believe that most humans, if they saw someone in need, would try to help. It is in our nature. You live such short lives. How long will you live? 80 years? 100? If I am lucky, that is nothing. That is a single breath in the life of a Valari. How can beings who live such short lives care so much about each other? Do-hyun smiled. Maybe that is why we care so much. Because we know our time is short. Every moment matters. Every act of kindness matters. We cannot wait for tomorrow to do good things, because tomorrow might not come. So we do good things today. Taiho stared at him. Then, slowly, the old king began to laugh. It was a strange sound, rusty and unused, as if he had not laughed in a very long time. You are a wise man, Do-hyun the farmer, he said. Wiser than most of my advisors, who have lived for thousands of years. I am not wise. I am just honest. Perhaps that is the same thing. Taiho placed a hand on Do-hyun's shoulder. The king's hand was large and cool, but the touch was gentle. I owe you a debt that can never be repaid. You saved my daughter. You saved my family. You saved me. Ask for anything, and it is yours. Wealth, power, technology. Name it, and I will give it. Do-hyun thought about the offer. He could ask for anything. He could become rich beyond imagination. He could have power that no human had ever held. He could bring technology back to Earth that would change the course of human history. But none of that felt right. I would like to go home sometimes, he said finally. To Earth, to my farm. I left my dog with a neighbor, and I miss him. I would like to see the sun rise over my rice fields again. I would like to feel the dirt under my fingers. Taiho blinked. All four of his eyes showed surprise. That is all? You want to visit your farm? It is not much, I know. But it is my home. I do not need wealth or power. I just want to be able to go back sometimes. And maybe, he hesitated. Maybe what? Maybe you could come with me someday. You and Yuna. I would like to show you the sunrise on Earth. It is not as grand as your sun's, but it is beautiful in its own way. And I make very good rice. Better than anything you will find in this palace. Taiho laughed again, louder this time. The sound echoed through the garden, bright and full of life. You are an unusual creature, Do-hyun. You are offered the treasures of an empire, and you ask to show me rice fields. The king shook his head in wonder. I accept your request. You may return to Earth whenever you wish. We will provide you with a ship and a way to travel between our worlds. And yes, someday I will come with you to see this sunrise you speak of. He turned to face Do-hyun fully. But I want to give you something more. Your people, humans, they are young and vulnerable. There are dangers in this galaxy that they do not know about. Dangers that could destroy them before they ever reach the stars. From this day forward, Earth and its people are under the protection of the Valari Empire. No one will harm them while I live. Do-hyun felt tears forming in his eyes. He had not expected this. He had not asked for this. Thank you, he said. His voice was thick with emotion. Thank you so much. No, Do-hyun. Taiho placed both hands on the human's shoulders and looked into his eyes. Thank you. You taught me something important. You taught me that strength is not about power. It is about heart. Your species may be small and fragile, but your hearts are bigger than any I have ever known. That is a strength that will carry you further than any weapon or technology. That evening, there was a great celebration in the palace. Music filled the halls. People danced and laughed and feasted. Princess Yuna stood at the center of it all, her silver skin glowing with happiness. Do-hyun watched from a quiet corner. content to observe. He did not need to be at the center of attention. He was happy just to be here, to be part of this moment. Yuna found him eventually. She took his hand and pulled him toward the dance floor. "Come," she said. "You cannot hide forever." "I am not hiding. I am just watching. You have watched enough. Now it is time to dance." And so Dohyun danced. He danced badly because humans did not move like Valari, and his short legs could not keep up with the complicated steps. But Yuna laughed and guided him, and somehow they made it work. In the middle of the dance, Yuna leaned close and whispered in his ear, "Thank you, Dohyun. Thank you for everything. I did not do anything special." "Yes, you did. You were kind. In a universe full of cruelty and selfishness, you were kind. Never forget how rare and precious that is." Dohyun looked at her, this beautiful alien princess who had crashed into his life and changed everything. He smiled. "I will try to remember," he said, and they danced on. Beneath the stars of a distant world, two beings from different corners of the universe, brought together by chance and held together by something far more powerful. By kindness, by friendship, by heart. In the end, that was the true strength of humanity. Not weapons or technology or power, just the simple, stubborn refusal to let someone suffer alone. And that was enough. That was more than enough. It was everything. The throne room was full of people. Nobles in shining clothes stood along the walls. Advisors gathered near the throne. Soldiers guarded every door. Everyone wanted to see the princess who had returned from the dead and the strange creature she had brought with her. Dohyun walked beside Yuna, trying not to stare at everything around him. The ceiling was so high he could barely see it. The pillars were made of pure crystal that caught the light and split it into rainbows. The floor beneath his feet showed images of stars and planets, as if he were walking on the universe itself. He felt like an ant in a palace made for giants. King Taiho sat on his throne at the far end of the room. He had changed his clothes. He now wore a robe of deep purple that seemed to glow from within. A crown of silver light floated above his head. He looked every bit the ruler of a great empire. He also looked tired. Dohyun could see it in the lines on his face, in the way his shoulders bent slightly forward. The past 18 months had been hard on this king. The joy of his daughter's return was still fighting with something else. Suspicion, fear, uncertainty. Yuna bowed before her father's throne. Dohyun quickly did the same, lowering his head and bending at the waist. He did not know the proper way to greet an alien king, but he hoped this would be enough. "Rise," Taiho said. "Both of you." They stood. Taiho's 4 eyes moved from his daughter to Dohyun and back again. The room was silent. Everyone was waiting. "Tell me everything," the king said. "From the beginning." Yuna took a deep breath and began to speak. She told him about the attack, about the enemy ships that had come from nowhere. She told him about the desperate escape, about her damaged shuttle, about the crash on the strange blue planet. "I should have died," she said. "My ship was destroyed. I was badly wounded. I had no way to call for help, no way to survive. But then Dohyun found me." All eyes turned to the human. Dohyun stood straight, trying to look braver than he felt. "He is from a primitive species," Yuna continued. "They call themselves humans. They have never met beings from other worlds. When Dohyun saw me, he should have been afraid. He should have run away or attacked me. Instead, he carried me to his home and saved my life." A murmur went through the crowd. Some voices sounded impressed. Others sounded doubtful. "He spent 18 months caring for me," Yuna said. "He fed me. He helped me heal. He taught me about his world while I repaired my ship. He asked for nothing in return. Not power, not wealth, not technology. Nothing. He helped me simply because I needed help. Taiho leaned forward on his throne. His eyes narrowed as he studied Do-hyun. Is this true, human? Do-hyun cleared his throat. When he spoke, his voice was steady despite his fear. Yes, great king. Everything the princess says is true. Why? The question was sharp. Why would you help a creature so different from yourself? What did you hope to gain? Do-hyun thought about the question carefully. He knew his answer would determine his fate. But he also knew he could only tell the truth. I hope to gain nothing, he said. I am a farmer. I grow rice and vegetables. I live a simple life. When I saw the princess lying on the ground, injured and dying, I did not see a creature. I did not see an alien. I saw a person who needed help. On my world, we believe that helping others is the right thing to do. It does not matter who they are or where they come from. If someone needs help and you can give it, you should. The throne room was very quiet. Taiho stared at Do-hyun with an expression that was hard to read. Then Lord Junho, the old advisor, stepped forward. Your Majesty, I must speak. Speak. This creature cannot be trusted. We know nothing about humans. They are primitive and weak. They live short lives and think short thoughts. How can we know that this one is telling the truth? Perhaps he helped the princess to gain access to our technology. Perhaps he is a spy for another empire. Perhaps he has plans we cannot see. Other nobles nodded in agreement. One of them called out, he should be examined. We should search his mind to see if he is lying. Or execute him, another said. We cannot risk the safety of the empire for one primitive being. The calls grew louder. More voices joined in. People were shouting now, arguing with each other. Some demanded Do-hyun's death. Others wanted him imprisoned. Only a few remained silent. Yuna stepped in front of Do-hyun, shielding him with her body just as she had done in the plaza. Enough! She shouted. I will not allow this. Yuna, my child, Taiho began. No, father. Listen to me. Yuna's eyes were blazing with anger. For 80 months, I lived among humans. I saw their world. I know their hearts. They are not perfect. They make mistakes. They fight among themselves, but they also love. They create beautiful things. They help strangers without asking why. She pointed at Do-hyun. This man had nothing. He owned a small piece of land and a dog. That was all. But when he found me, he gave me everything he had. He gave me his food when he was hungry. He gave me his bed while he slept on the floor. When dangerous animals came to his farm because they smelled my blood, he fought them off with nothing but a wooden stick. The room grew quiet again. People were listening now. One night, Yuna continued, her voice softer. A group of men came to his farm. They had seen the crash. They wanted to take me away and sell me to someone who would study me. Do-hyun refused. They beat him badly. They broke his ribs and his nose. But still he refused. He stood between them and me, bleeding and barely able to stand, and he told them they would have to kill him first. She looked at her father with tears in her eyes. They left eventually, afraid of bringing attention to themselves. But Do-hyun could not walk for 2 weeks after that night. I asked him why he did it. Why he suffered so much for someone he barely knew. Do you know what he said? Taiho shook his head slowly. He said, because you are my friend. And I do not let bad things happen to my friends. Yuna's voice broke slightly. That is the kind of person he is, father. That is the species you want to execute. The king was silent for a long moment. His eyes moved from his daughter to Do-hyun. The human stood quietly, his head bowed, accepting whatever fate would come. Human, Taiho said finally. Do-hyun, look at me. Do-hyun raised his eyes to meet the king's gaze. My advisors say you cannot be trusted. They say you are primitive and weak. They say I should have you killed or imprisoned. Taiho paused. What do you say to this? Dahyun thought carefully before answering. I say that your advisors are right about some things. I am primitive compared to your people. I am weak compared to your soldiers. I will die of old age long before anyone in this room. But I also say that strength is not measured only by power. A tree can be strong, but it cannot choose to help someone. A storm can be strong, but it cannot choose to be kind. The strength that matters most is the strength to do what is right, even when it is hard. That is the only kind of strength I have. Taiho stared at him for a long time. The throne room was completely silent. No one dared to breathe. Then, slowly, the king stood from his throne. He walked down the steps until he was standing directly in front of Dahyun. The human was much shorter than the king. He had to look up to meet Taiho's eyes. You are either very brave or very foolish, the king said quietly. Probably both, Dahyun admitted. For a moment, nothing happened. Then Taiho did something no one expected. He smiled. I believe you, the king said. I do not know why, but I believe you. There is something in your eyes that speaks of truth. My daughter was right. You are not what you appear to be. He turned to face the crowd. This human is to be treated as an honored guest of the empire. Anyone who threatens him or harms him will answer to me personally. Is that understood? The nobles and advisors bowed their heads. Yes, your majesty. Taiho looked back at Dahyun. Welcome to Valara, human. We have much to discuss, you and I. Dahyun let out a breath he did not know he had been holding. Beside him, Yuna was smiling through her tears. He had survived. For now, at least, he had survived. The shuttle moved through space like a silver arrow. Inside, Yuna sat at the controls, her 4 eyes fixed on the stars ahead. Behind her, Dahyun looked out the window with wonder and fear. He had never imagined anything like this. The Earth, his home, had become a small blue ball in the distance. Now it was gone completely, lost among billions of other stars. Everything he had ever known was behind him. Everything ahead was unknown. Are you afraid? Yuna asked without turning around. Dahyun thought about the question honestly. Yes, he admitted. I am very afraid. Good. Fear keeps you alive. Only fools feel no fear. Then I am the wisest man in the universe right now. Yuna laughed. It was a beautiful sound, like bells ringing. Dahyun had learned to love that laugh over the past 18 months. It made him feel warm inside. The journey took 3 weeks. During that time, Yuna taught Dahyun as much as she could about her people. She taught him about their history, their customs, their language. She taught him about the Valari Empire and its many worlds. She taught him about her father, the king. My father is a good man, she said one night. They were eating a simple meal together in the shuttle's small kitchen. But he is also proud. He has been king for over 2,000 years. He's not used to things he cannot understand or control. Do you think he will accept me? Dahyun asked. Yuna was quiet for a moment. I do not know, she said honestly. Humans are unknown to my people. You are smaller than us. You are weaker than us. You live such short lives. Some Valari will look at you and see nothing but a primitive creature from a primitive world. And what do you see? Yuna reached across the table and took his hand. Her silver fingers wrapped around his brown ones. I see the man who saved my life. I see my best friend. I see someone whose heart is bigger than most people's entire bodies. Dahyun smiled. That is a lot of pressure. You will be fine. I believe in you. On the final day of their journey, Yuna woke Dahyun early. Come, she said. I want to show you something. She led him to the front of the shuttle. Through the window, He saw something that stopped his breath. A planet hung in space before them. But this was not like Earth. This planet was bigger, much bigger. It had 3 moons circling around it. Its surface glowed with soft colors, silver and blue and purple. Light sparkled across its surface like a million tiny stars. "This is Valara," Yuna said softly. "My home." Do-hyun could not speak. He had never seen anything so beautiful in his entire life. As they approached the planet, Yuna contacted the surface. She spoke in her own language, words that Do-hyun did not fully understand. But he heard the shock in the voices that responded. He heard people crying. He heard alarms and shouts and confusion. "They thought you were dead," he said. "They did. For 18 months, they thought I was dead." Yuna's eyes were wet with silver tears. "I cannot imagine what my father has suffered." The shuttle landed in a wide plaza in front of an enormous palace. The palace was made of crystal and light, just as Yuna had described. It was the most magnificent building Do-hyun had ever seen, but he did not have time to admire it. The moment the shuttle touched the ground, soldiers surrounded them. There were dozens of them, all tall and silver-skinned, all carrying weapons that glowed with strange energy. The shuttle door opened, and Yuna stepped out first. The soldiers froze. They stared at her with wide eyes. Some of them dropped their weapons. Some fell to their knees. "Princess Yuna," one of them whispered. "You are alive." "I am alive," Yuna confirmed. "I have returned home." The news spread like fire. Within minutes, thousands of people had gathered in the plaza. They pushed against the soldiers, trying to get closer, trying to see their lost princess with their own eyes. Many of them were crying. Many were calling her name. Do-hyun stayed inside the shuttle, watching through the window. He was not sure what to do. This was Yuna's moment, her homecoming. He did not want to interfere. But then the crowd's mood changed. Someone had noticed him through the window. Someone had pointed and shouted. Now everyone was looking at the shuttle, at the strange creature inside. What is that? What did she bring with her? Is it dangerous? The soldiers raised their weapons again. They aimed them at the shuttle. At Do-hyun, he felt his heart beat faster. He was alone on an alien world, surrounded by beings who saw him as a threat. One wrong move and they would kill him. Yuna saw what was happening. She ran back to the shuttle and stood in front of it, spreading her arms wide. "Stop!" she shouted. "Put down your weapons." "Princess, that creature saved my life." Yuna's voice was strong and clear. It carried across the entire plaza. "Without him, I would be dead. He is my friend, and he is under my protection. He is my friend. Anyone who threatens him threatens me." The soldiers hesitated. They looked at each other, uncertain. They had been trained to protect the princess, not to fight her. "Lower your weapons," Yuna commanded. Now, slowly, one by one, the soldiers obeyed. Their weapons dropped to their sides. But they did not take their eyes off the shuttle. They did not trust the creature inside. Yuna turned and beckoned to Do-hyun. "Come out," she said gently. "It is safe. I promise." Do-hyun took a deep breath. His hands were shaking, but he trusted Yuna. He had trusted her for 18 months. He would trust her now. He stepped out of the shuttle and into the light of an alien sun. The crowd gasped. They had never seen anything like him. His brown skin, his 2 eyes, his small body. He was so different from them, so strange and foreign. Do-hyun stood beside Yuna, trying to look calm even though his heart was pounding. He looked out at the crowd of silver faces, and he felt very small and very alone. Then the crowd parted. A path opened from the palace to the plaza, and walking down that path was a single figure, King Taiho. The king walked slowly, as if in a dream. His 4 eyes were fixed on his daughter. He did not seem to notice Do-hyun at all. He did not seem to notice anything except Yuna. "Yuna," he whispered. His voice cracked. "My child. My little star? Father." Yuna ran to him. She threw her arms around him and held him tight. "I am here. I am alive. I came home." Taiho held his daughter like he would never let go. Silver tears ran down his face. His shoulders shook with sobs. For a long moment, the king and the princess just held each other, reunited at last. The crowd watched in silence. Many of them were crying too. This was a moment they would remember forever. Then Taiho looked up. His eyes moved past his daughter and landed on Doyun. The human stood alone, small and strange, watching the reunion with quiet respect. The king's expression changed. The joy faded. Something harder took its place. "What is this?" he asked. His voice was no longer soft. It was the voice of a king. "What have you brought to our world?" Yuna turned, keeping one arm around her father. "This is Dohyun," she said. "He is a human from a planet called Earth. He saved my life." "A human." Taiho spoke the word like it tasted bad. "I have never heard of such a species. They are new to the galaxy, Father. They have not yet learned to travel among the stars. But Doyen, we will discuss this inside." Taiho's voice left no room for argument. "Bring the creature. I want to hear everything." He turned and walked back toward the palace. Yuna looked at Doyun with worried eyes. "It will be okay," she said, though she did not sound certain. Doyun nodded. He had come too far to turn back now. Whatever happened next, he would face it. Together, they followed the king into the Palace of Light. The small shuttle fell through the sky like a dying star. Fire wrapped around it as it entered the atmosphere of a planet it had never been meant to visit. Inside, Princess Yuna fought with the controls, trying to slow down, trying to survive. Everything had gone wrong so fast. The expedition had been attacked by unknown ships. Her soldiers had fought bravely, but there were too many enemies. When the main ship began to explode, Yuna had run to her shuttle. She had tried to escape, but the enemy weapons had hit her too. Her navigation systems were destroyed. Her engines were failing. She had no idea where she was going. The shuttle's computer had found this planet automatically. It was small and blue, mostly covered with water. The computer said there was life here, but it was primitive. The beings on this world had not yet learned to travel among the stars. They were young and simple. Yuna did not care. She just needed to land. She just needed to survive. The shuttle crashed into a field of green plants. The impact was terrible. Metal screamed and bent. Glass shattered. Yuna was thrown against her seat so hard that she lost consciousness. When she finally opened her eyes again, she did not know how much time had passed. Everything hurt. Her left arm was broken. There was blood on her face, though it was silver like all Velari blood. The shuttle was destroyed. Smoke rose from the broken engines. She could smell burning. She needed to get out. She needed to find help. Yuna crawled out of the shuttle and fell onto soft ground. The air here was strange. It was thick and wet, and it smelled like growing things. She looked up and saw a blue sky with white clouds. A yellow sun hung overhead, much smaller than the suns of her home world. She tried to stand, but her legs would not hold her. She fell again. The pain was too much. Her vision began to go dark around the edges. She was going to die here, on this unknown planet, alone and far from everyone she loved. "Father," she whispered. "I am sorry." Then she heard footsteps. Someone was coming. Doyun had been working in his rice field when he saw the fire in the sky. At first, he thought it was a shooting star. But shooting stars did not make noise like that. Shooting stars did not crash into the field next to his farm. He was a simple man. He was 32 years old, and he had lived alone since his parents died 5 years ago. He had no wife, no children, no family. He had only his small farm and his dog, a brown and white animal named Bori. Do-hyun was not a brave man. He was not a hero. He was just a farmer who grew rice and vegetables and sold them at the market in the nearby town. He had never done anything special in his life. But when he saw the crash, something made him run toward it instead of away from it. Maybe it was curiosity. Maybe it was the feeling that someone needed help. He did not know. He just ran. When he reached the crash site, he stopped and stared. The thing that had fallen from the sky was like nothing he had ever seen. It was made of metal, but the metal was strange and shiny. It was shaped like a teardrop, though now it was broken and burning. And lying on the ground beside, it was a creature. Do-hyun's heart beat fast. The creature looked almost human, but not quite. Its skin was silver, like the surface of a mirror. It had 4 eyes, all of them closed. It was wearing clothes that looked like they were made of light. Silver blood was spreading on the ground beneath it. He should have been afraid. Any normal person would have been afraid. But Do-hyun looked at the creature's face and saw pain. He saw suffering. He saw someone who was dying. He did not think about whether it was dangerous. He did not think about what it was or where it came from. He only thought about one thing. This creature needed help, and he was the only one here. Do-hyun knelt down beside the creature. Up close, he could see that it was female, or at least it looked female. Its features were delicate and beautiful in a strange way. It was breathing, but the breaths were weak and uneven. "Can you hear me?" he asked softly. The creature's 4 eyes opened slowly. They were blue, bright blue, like the sky after rain. They looked at him with confusion and fear. "Do not be afraid," Do-hyun said. He tried to make his voice calm. "I am not going to hurt you. I want to help." The creature said something, but the words were strange. He did not understand them. It seemed to realize this because it stopped trying to speak. Instead, it just looked at him with those 4 blue eyes. Do-hyun made a decision. He would take this creature to his home. He would take care of it. He did not know how, but he would try. He picked up the creature carefully, trying not to hurt its broken arm. It was lighter than he expected. He carried it across the field, toward his small house. Behind him, the strange ship continued to burn. For the next several weeks, Do-hyun took care of Yuna. He did not know her name yet. He did not know anything about her. But he learned. He cleaned her wounds and wrapped her arm with cloth. He fed her soup and water. At first, she was too weak to do anything except sleep. But slowly, day by day, she grew stronger. Yuna watched this human with wonder. She had studied many species during her life. She knew about beings who helped others for power or profit. She knew about beings who showed kindness to gain advantage. But this human wanted nothing from her. He simply helped because she needed help. She began to learn his language. It was simple compared to Valari, with fewer sounds and fewer rules. Within a month, she could speak basic sentences. Within 2 months, she could have conversations. "Why do you help me?" she asked him one evening. They were sitting outside his house, watching the sun go down. The sky was turning orange and pink, colors that reminded her of home. Do-hyun thought about the question for a moment. Then he shrugged. "You needed help. I was here. What else could I do? You could have left me to die. You could have called others to take me away. I am strange to you. I am not like you." "No, you are not like me," Do-hyun agreed. "But you are still a person. You feel pain. You feel fear. You want to live. That makes you the same as me in the ways that matter." Yuna stared at him. In all her years and all her travels, she had never heard anyone say something so simple and so profound. "You are a good man, Do-hyun," she said. He smiled, a little embarrassed. I am just a farmer." "No," Yuna said softly. "You are much more than that." As the months passed, Yuna repaired her shuttle. It was slow work because many parts were destroyed, and she had to build new ones from materials she found on Earth. Dayun helped her when he could. Though he did not understand most of what she was doing, they became friends. More than friends. They became family. Dayun taught her about Earth, about humans, about the simple joys of growing food and watching seasons change. Yuna told him about the stars, about her father, about the empire she had left behind. 18 months after the crash, the shuttle was finally ready to fly again. "I have to go home," Yuna said. Her voice was sad. "My father thinks I am dead. I have to show him I am alive." Dawn nodded. He understood, but his heart was heavy. "Then go," he said. "Go back to your father. Go back to your people." Yuna looked at him for a long moment. Then she held out her hand. "Come with me." Do-hyun blinked. "What? Come with me to my world. I do not want to leave you. You saved my life. You are my friend. Please, come with me." Do-hyun thought about his farm, his dog, his simple life. Then he thought about this incredible woman who had fallen from the sky and changed everything. He took her hand. "Okay," he said. "I will come." And together, they rose into the stars. The throne room of the Valari Empire was the most beautiful place in the known galaxy. Giant pillars of crystal reached up toward a ceiling made of living light. The floor was smooth like glass, and it showed the reflection of the stars outside. Everything in this room spoke of power and ancient glory. King Taiho sat on his throne, but he did not look like a powerful king today. His silver skin, which usually glowed with the light of his people, was dull and gray. His 4 eyes, normally bright like blue flames, were empty and tired. He had not slept in many days. He had not eaten. He had not spoken to anyone except to ask the same question over and over again. "Is there any news of my daughter?" The answer was always the same. No, there was no news. Princess Yuna had been the light of the entire empire. She was young, only 200 years old, which was still very young for the Valari people. She had her father's silver skin but her mother's gentle heart. The queen had died many years ago, and since then, Yuna had been everything to Taiho. She was his daughter, his advisor, his reason to keep ruling. Yuna was not like other princesses. She did not want to sit in the palace and wait for others to bring her things. She wanted to explore. She wanted to see the universe with her own eyes. She wanted to understand the stars, not just look at them from a window. 3 months ago, she had asked her father for permission to lead a small expedition. It was supposed to be a simple journey to study a new star system near the edge of their territory. Taiho had not wanted to let her go. Something in his heart had felt wrong about it. But Yuna had smiled at him with her mother's smile, and he could not say no. "I will be careful, father," she had said. "I will take the best soldiers with me. I will return before you even notice I am gone." Those were the last words she had spoken to him. The expedition had traveled for 2 weeks without any problems. They sent messages back to the palace every day. Everything was normal. Everything was fine. Then, on the 15th day, the messages stopped at first. Taiho told himself not to worry. Perhaps there was a problem with the communication equipment. Perhaps they had entered an area where signals could not reach. He waited 1 day, then 2 days, then 3. On the 4th day, he sent a rescue team. They found the expedition's main ship floating in space near a forbidden sector. The ship was badly damaged. There were burn marks on the outside, as if something had attacked it. Inside, they found the bodies of the soldiers, but there was no sign of Yuna. Her personal shuttle was missing. The rescue team searched the area for days. They found pieces of the shuttle scattered across a wide region of space. The pieces were burned and broken. Whatever had happened, it had been violent and fast. They did not find Yuna's body. Some people said this was a good sign. If there was no body, perhaps she was still alive somewhere. But others said it was worse. Space was cold and empty. If her shuttle had been destroyed, there was nowhere for her to go. She would have died alone in the darkness. Taeho refused to believe she was dead. He sent more search teams. He offered rewards to anyone who could find information about her. He contacted other empires and asked for their help. He did everything a father could do, but the weeks passed and there was no news. The search teams returned with nothing. The other empires sent their apologies, but no information. The rewards went unclaimed. The people of the Valari Empire began to lose hope. They had loved their princess. She had been kind to everyone, from the highest nobles to the lowest workers. When she walked through the streets, she would stop and talk to anyone who wanted to speak with her. She remembered names. She remembered faces. She made people feel important. Now she was gone, and the empire felt darker without her. Taeho watched his kingdom mourn, and it broke his heart. He saw children crying in the streets. He saw soldiers standing with their heads down. He saw the lights of the cities grow dimmer, as if even the buildings were sad. One night his oldest advisor came to speak with him. The advisor's name was Lord Junho, and he had served the royal family for over 1,000 years. He was wise and careful with his words. "Your Majesty," Junho said softly, "the people need you to be strong. They need you to lead them." Taeho did not look at him. "How can I lead them when I cannot even find my own daughter? You have done everything possible. No one could have done more. It is not enough." Taeho's voice cracked. "She is out there somewhere. I can feel it. A father knows these things." Junho was quiet for a moment. Then he said, "Perhaps she is. But the forbidden sector is vast and dangerous. We do not know what lies within it. Our ships cannot travel there safely. Even if she survived the attack, even if she landed somewhere, we may never be able to reach her." Taeho finally looked at his advisor. There were tears in his 4 eyes. "You are asking me to give up. I am asking you to accept what we cannot change. The empire needs its king. Your daughter would not want you to destroy yourself with grief." The king sat in silence for a long time. Outside, the stars continued to shine, cold and distant. Somewhere out there, his daughter might still be alive. Or she might be gone forever. He would never know for certain. Finally, he spoke. "Seal the forbidden sector. No one is to enter it ever again. I do not want any more of my people to die searching for ghosts." Junho bowed his head. "As you command, Your Majesty." When the advisor left, Taeho was alone in the throne room. He looked up at the ceiling of living light, and he remembered how Yuna used to love watching it change colors. She would sit beside him for hours, pointing out patterns and shapes that only she could see. "My little star," he whispered to the empty room. "Where are you?" There was no answer. There was only silence and the cold light of distant suns. The king lowered his head and wept. He wept for his daughter. He wept for his people. He wept for himself. And somewhere deep in his heart, a small flame of hope continued to burn, refusing to die completely. He did not know it yet, but that hope would be rewarded. Yuna was alive. She was very far away, on a small blue planet that the Valari had never heard of. And she was about to meet someone who would change everything. But that is a story for another time. For now, King Taeho sat alone in his throne room, a broken father mourning a daughter he believed was lost forever.